Here's Goodnight Olive making her move to take the lead by a head around the far turn. Race Kane has nearly 10 lengths to make up, so does Scooby Guando, verifying the leader. Top of the stretch, Tapit Trice is coming on to the outside. Up to the mark is running late behind Master of the Seas. Set piece down the center of the course. Master of the Seas alongside Annapolis. Here's Elusive Princess coming after Maj, and Mission of Joy tries to find room between that pair. Maj has the lead. Mission of Joy second, Elusive Princess third. The champ in front. Goodnight Olive chased all the way. Tapit Trice! Tapit Trice wins the Toyota Bluegrass.
And a good Friday evening, everyone. Welcome into the Keeneland Look Ahead podcast. I'm Jeremy Plonk from Horse Player Now. Happy to be with you again. Guess we're getting set for day 7 of 17 coming up on Saturday. The Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup, the feature race on the card on Saturday. First post is at 1 o'clock, and last grade 1 stakes of the meet should be a good one. We've got an international cast of characters to talk about. We'll get you a little extra insight on that race coming up as we preview all 10 races on the program. We will get a look at my picks, the picks of the other handicappers across the Keeneland Handicapper Selectors box at Keeneland.com, and also take a look back at what happened on the racetrack today. If you didn't catch the racing today at Keeneland, we had a heck of a day at the track where Tyler Gaffalione knocked off 4 winners on the card. Get this day for Tyler Gaffalione. Not only did he win the stakes race in the Sycamore, his 4 wins on the card included a $47 winner. And he's riding really well right now for trainer Brendan Walsh. Walsh, of course, with 2 wins on the card today. He is having a great meet right now, Brendan Walsh. We talked about it last night. I think he's in it to stay, but I don't think he's got enough horses to contend for leading trainer title at the end of the season to compete with guys like Wesley Ward and Brad Cox. They're just going to have more volume. But Brendan Walsh's horses are going to be factors not only here in week 2, but I think into 3 and 4. He's really got a good going right now, the Brendan Walsh barn. So other things today of significance, I think we got our best bet of the meet in. We told you about race number 5 today, where Urban Legend was our strongest opinion so far in the first 6 days of racing. That one got home. Unfortunately, everybody was on the same horse, bet this horse down way off the morning line. Ended up going off 6-5, but an easy winner there for Jose D'Angelo and for Irad Ortiz, and they may wheel right back with a horse early in the card on Saturday to keep an eye on. 5 winners on top from 10 races today. Our best day of the meet in that department, a little over $28 in return. So for the meet through 6 days right now, we're 18 for 59 on top. That's 31%. $1.90 ROI for every $2 bet. So we're about 5% in the hole right now. A dime down on every $2 bet, but we're making a comeback, digging out of that 1 for 8 that was so terrible on Wednesday. Pretty good day handicapping yesterday. A profitable day, another profitable day today. So 4 out of 6 days we've shown a profit, and it's been, respectable, but we're not getting any of those big boppers in. Hopefully we can turn the corner with that and start getting some prices that we're on into the Saturday card. Super high 5 carryover, $19,913. Big long shot winner in the last race on the card today. So with that big long shot winner, $19,913 in the super high 5 carryover. Before we get to Saturday, really got to shout out the Sycamore Stakes today. If you didn't see this, 1.5 miles on the turf, and it was a battle to the finish. Highway Robber and last year's winner, Bold Act. They were ding-dong to the finish, and a new course record of 2:26.08. A fantastic performance from 2 high-quality turfers. Let's go back and relive the stretch run of today's Sycamore.
Kathkin Peak is the leader. Here's Data Man moving up on the outside. Data Man starts to draw alongside of Kathkin Peak, just over a quarter mile to go. 3 more lengths then back to Segoy in third. Big Blue Line has come up the rail in fourth. 5 lengths off the lead. Bold Act still has 5 to make up as they turn for home. Here's Bold Act coming on along with Highway Robber. Highway Robber, Bold Act, Highway Robber. These 2 coming forward. Utah Beach to third. It is Highway Robber alongside of Bold Act contesting the lead and contesting for the win. Highway Robber and Bold Act. Bold Act, Highway Robber, heads bobbing on the line. Photo in the feature for the Sycamore.
That name sounds familiar. It should. It was Highway Robber, who we previewed last night on the podcast with Tom Leach's interview with trainer Brian Lynch. So little foreshadowing there, if you will. Tom had the winner picked on top. I think Gabby did as well. So nice job handicapping on their end. That was one of 4 winners on the card for Tyler Gaffleone. He had a riding triple on Thursday at Keeneland. So now 7 wins over the last 2 days for Tyler Gaffleone as we turn the page and head into the Saturday card. Let's talk about those 10 races that are coming up on Saturday. Again, first post will be at 10 or at 1 o'clock Eastern for the 10 race card. Here's the way the picks line up in race number 1. We've got a situation on the card where we've got several races, 3 or 5, 7, and 9, where 5 different handicappers have 5 different horses picked on top. So we're going to discuss these picks. Race number 1's got a little bit of gel to it with Miss Jeopardy. Let's talk about those picks in just a moment as we take the big picture look out of the card. Should have went to this first, of course. You guys know the podcast. You're probably thinking, hey, you're out of sequence here. Go to the snapshot first. Here's how the races line up for the 10 races on Saturday with all the different various multi-race bets. Races 1 through 5 will be the early pick 5. The early pick 4 will be the 2nd through 5th. Late pick 5 is going to get underway in races 6 through 10. That will include the Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup. Turf Pick 3 will include the feature as well. Turf Pick 3 will be on races 5, 8, and 10. We mentioned already that Toyota Super High 5 carryover coming up in the 10th and final, 19,913. My key plays on the card come up in races 4, 7, and 9. I think races 3 and 6 look awfully chalky, where there's going to be some solid, heavy favorites in there. So we're going to try to make some money around those. We've got some prices. Also really considered race number 10 as a potential key play for me as well, but I ended up sticking with the 9th as my 3rd key play. So we actually have about 3.5 key plays on the card. So hopefully we can do some damage late in the day. We start things out in claiming company. This is one of those dual condition claimers, non-winners of 3 lifetime or 3-year-olds eligible to compete in here. 6 furlongs the distance. I ended up with the 5 in here, Miss Savely. Miss Savely's making a big drop in class. It's Irad Ortiz and Jose D'Angelo, and Miss Savely last time out was running for $75,000 at Gulfstream in optional claiming. Couple starts back, 4 starts back. This horse ran 3rd behind Gunsong. Gunsong went to the wire in the Cotillion Stakes and almost beat Torpedo Anna. Gunsong, of course, won the Black-Eyed Susan earlier this year. So a horse who was competitive against those running here for a 20,000 tag just looks to me like a standout. 4-1 in the morning line. I don't think we're going to get that price on Miss Saley in here. Kim Nelson's got this one picked on top, and everybody's got Miss Saley, with a little bit of interest to the right of the column, but they're tossing Miss Saley on the left side of the column with Scott and Tom. So maybe 4-1 will look right here, but this just looks to me like a standout. We mentioned earlier on the Friday card, it was Irad Ortiz teaming up with Jose D'Angelo for that easy win in the turf sprint that we had earlier. So this is another horse who's kind of about the same price as our best bet was on today's card, that being Urban Legend in the 5th. And I think this horse is going to get bet down as well. So Miss Saley, top choice in here on the class drop. I think she's the one to beat. The 8, Miss Jeopardy for the exacta. The 11, Motown Mika, one to consider for the underneath. But I think this is going to be a rather short price when all is said and done. I think Miss Saley's going to get bet in here, but if you can get 3-1 or more, absolutely would be worth jumping in on. The 3, Miss Jeopardy, is a filly who won her last start at Canterbury, but she's got some class running at Churchill. She won a non-winner to 2 at Churchill. She's got some quality about her. She's got 3 victories as a 3-year-old. She's eligible to compete against these older horses who only are restricted by non-winners of 3 lifetimes. So she's got a little edge in that department, and she's got some recent form about her. So I've got it 5, 8, and 11 in here. The 11, Motown Mika, is a filly who's coming off a win as well at Churchill Downs for 16,000, non-winners to 2. She takes the mild step up in class, but this is a natural rise to race she should be in. Wouldn't be surprised if the Ortiz brothers ran 1-2 in here at 5-11. But Miss Jeopardy, the 3-year-old with the 3 wins, top pick in here for 3 of the 5 handicappers. If I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's Miss Saley going to be favored in this race by post time, we'll see how that shakes out. To the second race on the program we go on this Saturday preview for Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup Day. Race number 2 is going to start the early pick 4 off, a mile and a 16th. Maiden specials here. Big field of 12 with an also eligible in this spot. Number 10, Executive, is going to be my play in this race to kick off the early pick 4. Executive also top pick in here for Scott. Everyone's got Executive in the mix, Gabby and Kim. Tom's going a different direction here with Geometry as his top pick. Tom's kind of on the island with Geometry. Nobody else has that one. Nobody likes math, right? But Tom is on a horse who could be a nice price for trainer Jonathan Thomas. Frankie Dettori rides. So maybe Tom's long shot play of the day. Be sure to tune in tomorrow on social media and on the Today at Keeneland preview show at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. He'll give you his key long shot on the card. Maybe it is Geometry. We'll see. But I've got the 10 Executive. This is Bill Mott with a $900,000 Colt by Constitution. Got no help at all in the career debut at Saratoga. 48-3, 113-3. They walked. The third quarter was 25 seconds. You're not going to close and do much damage in that kind of setup. And yet this horse closed from ninth to be third, beaten a length and a half. After lunging at the start. Junior Alvarado rides. I think if Executive gets out of the gate at all, will be awfully tough in here. And even if they spot the field early, the way this horse finished at Saratoga, I expect Executive to come with a big run in here. The 8 Governing Party is the morning line favorite for Chad Brown. Also coming off a third place finish. That one from Kentucky Downs. A good effort near the front at Kentucky Downs. Speed carried well during that meet. We'll see where this horse is placed in the race by Irad Ortiz, but there is a little bit of speed to the inside of the field in here, and a couple first-time starters. We're not sure where they'll go in terms of pace, but Flambeau, the 6, Peanut Butter Whiskey, the 2, and maybe even the 1, Paraclete could go towards the front in here. So how forward will Irad want to be with the 8 Governing Party? We'll see how the race shakes out, and he'll probably play it off the break. If they don't go inside of him, he'll go and start clearing off horses. If not, maybe this horse will try to sit and track like he did last time, second all the way around at Kentucky Downs. But I'm on the 10 in there. Executive, that'll be my top pick. And Pensa, Paraclete also get some love on top in here from Kim and Gabby, respectively. So got a shot in here maybe to, get beyond just the obvious choices. But Executive and Governing Party are 7-2 and 3-1 in the morning line. And I'm not very creative in here. I've got those 2 picked on top. And the lack of creativity will continue when we get to the third race. I've got some good plays on the card. But I also realize there are some favorites who look sharp. And in race number 3, we've got another big favorite in here. No multi-race wagers will start in the third race. It's a 6.5 furlong entry-level allowance. But all eyes in here are going to be on the obvious class dropper, Too Sharp. This should be one of the shorter prices of the meet. Too Sharp picked on top by all 5 handicappers. And Too Sharp comes off a second-place finish, beaten a neck as the favorite in the Grade 3 Prioress Stakes up at Saratoga, beaten by Brightwork, who's a multiple stakes winner. Brightwork came down here last week in the Thoroughbred Club of America and ran a good race hitting the board. She had been just 1 start this year, so a decent effort from Brightwork out of that one. This is a first-level allowance. Too Sharp has proven to be a quality stakes horse. Won a maiden race prior to that by 11 lengths at Saratoga. I don't see any way they're going to warm this filly up in this spot. So probably talk too much about a 1-5 shot, but she looks like an obvious single in the pick 4 on races 2 through 5. The 1 through 5 early pick 5, an obvious single as well. How do you want to try to, attack this race? There are 7 other horses prior to scratches in here. And I think the other ones are fairly evenly matched. So maybe an exact is okay in here, but typically I'd say look to the daily double. And because I have a good opinion in race number 4, one of my keys on the card, I say look to the daily double in this spot. I'd use the 2 Connive as the second best option in here, the 8 Lightning McQueen for Kenny McPeak, one who might run well as well. But they're not beating Too Sharp in here over 6.5 furlongs, I don't think. So to the 4th we go, and it's my first key play on the card. Race number 4 is starter allowance, 20,000 level here. And there's just, when you get in these starter allowance races, you just find win machines a lot. Horses who rack up tremendous records. They're placed well because they got eligible somewhere early along the line, and then they were able to just run it up in a condition and win multiple times. I think that's just the total MO here for number 11, Prin Track. This horse is 10-1 in the morning line. I've got him on top. Scott's got him on top. Gabby's got him on top. We're probably not getting 10-1. So we'll just have to adjust to that. The old full house in here, 11s over 6s, if you will. Global Sensation, top pick in by the other 2 handicappers. And Global Sensation is the second choice for Gabby and myself. So it's the 11 or the 6 in here by a lot of the public. And 6 Global Sensation is the 3-1 morning line favorite off of 4 consecutive wins for Juan Cano. This horse has not run at Keeneland. It'll be the first time over the Keeneland track. Also the first Keeneland race for the 11 Prin Track. But I just like the style. This horse is going to be forwardly placed in here. 12 for 31 in the winner's circle, 20 for 31 in the exacta. Just really respect this horse. Last time they bit off way more than they can chew. And how do you know that race was so much tougher? Despite the outstanding record this horse has, was 17-1 in that allowance race. That's the difference between the allowance race at Aqueduct and the starter allowance quality. So Print Track's back where he belongs in terms of class. I think he gets it done here. 10-1 in the morning line with 3 of us picking the horse on top. I don't think we're getting 10-1, but they will be betting the 6 in here for sure off of that 4-race win streak and at 3-1 in the morning line. If the 11 Print Track's 5-1, I'm happy with that. Plenty happy with that price. Give me that one as one of my key plays of the day at 5-1 or more throughout the card. So daily double, race 3 to race 4. Go with and take that short price on 2 Sharp and just try to compound the payoff a little bit on Print Track. Because, let's say Print Track is 5-1 and you're going to get a $12 return on betting that horse to win. If you think the winner in race number 3, 2 Sharp, is an obvious winner, how much more than $12 for the $2 double can you get? That's what you're looking at trying to make a profit off of. So even if you can get $4 more, $5 more, it beats the parlay and it beats just waiting to bet the win bet in the next race on Print Track. So I'm going to try to get to one of my key plays in race number 4 by getting there early in the daily double in race number 3. Even if it just makes this horse pay $3 more, $4 more than the win bet into the daily double, I'd be happy with that. So give me a 4-11 daily double races 3-4, and that's how I'm going to try to attack on my first key play of the day. And of course, we've got the 11 in that race. We could look at exotics 11 over the 6-2, or we could look at more multi-race bets from race 4 to race 5 out of that key play. And again, we'll take the 11 Print Track in race number 4 and turn the page to race number 5 and see. Maybe we'll look at a multi-race bet in here as we go to a maiden special, mile and a 16th in race number 5. It is the first leg of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. It is also the start of the Pick 6. No carryover. We had some big prices in the back half of the card today, but the Pick 6 was taken down. I want to say it paid somewhere in the 20 to 30,000 range for the dollar ticket in the Pick 6, so it was hit today. Now, I've got a 5-2 morning line favorite in this next race, so maybe we're looking at a double from race 4 to race 5. Let's put the 11 on top in race number 4 and connect them to the 4 in here. Lucky Mischief. Lucky Mischief, 5-2 morning line favorite. Dallas Stewart trains this one coming off a second-place finish at Kentucky Downs. Rallied at Kentucky Downs. Did get a hot pace to rally into, but closers didn't have a lot of success during the course of that meet this year, so Lucky Mischief kind of moves up off of that effort. The race prior at Ellis Park started to show a little bit of life going long on the turf for the first time. I think Lucky Mischief's in a good spot in this mile and a 16th two-turn turf race. Should save a lot of ground in here. It's got a first-time starter to the inside. The 2 has absolutely no speed at all. The 1, Johnny Rendezvous, is interesting. I picked this horse second, almost took the shot on top. This horse has had some outside post positions, including the 10-hole in the debut at Saratoga going around 2 turns. This is a much better draw, and I think this horse will carry his speed farther here, going around 2 turns with a little bit slower pace and with the inside hedge to lean against. I think Jaime Torres can do some damage here with Johnny's Rendezvous. I wouldn't be against taking this horse on top if the price on Lucky Mischief gets too short. Race number 5 is one of these situations on the card where all 5 handicappers have 5 different horses picked on top. It's going to happen again in races 7 and 9 coming up. So there's a lot of races. We talked about, some of these races on the card, it looks kind of chalky. Okay, this is going to be a 1-5 shot, another race where you might have a short price, but there are a couple races on this card where it looks like you can bust out. And that's kind of been the way it's been this meet. They lull you to sleep with 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 6, 6, $5 winners. And then all of a sudden, bam, 20-1, bam, 30-1. We kind of had that happen on a couple of the cards, including on the Friday program today, right? The first 6 races on the card had 5 really shortish price horses. And then by the end, we're up to, $20,000, $30,000 pick 6 by the end of the card because we did get some prices in the further we got into it. So don't be afraid to, jump out at a price. Maybe that's the case here in race number 5. Certainly 7 and 9 or other races on the card where we don't have a lot of agreement amongst the public handicappers, so there may be chances to jump in. Johnny's Rendezvous is the top pick in here for Scott, so that's one, like I said, I think this horse is a little bit interesting from the rail. Other top picks in here, though, so we got the 1, the 4, the 5, the 8, and the 10 are all picked on top by various public handicappers. The 9 El Mohit is a first-time starter for the Brendan Walsh and Tyler Gaffleone team. Again, they are both probably the hottest trainer and jockey, no question. The hottest trainer and jockey probably going at Keeneland right now. So the 9, a first-time starter, one you probably want to consider there in your top 3 or top 4 as well if you're trying to get deep into the multi-race wagers in here. And if you can get a decent price on those connections, 8-1 in the morning line, there'd be no argument in taking a shot with them in the race number 5. Let's move on to the back half of this 10-race program. Race number 6 up next. The pick 5 starts here. Races 6 through 10, the final pick 5, late pick 5 on the card. I've got Giant Mischief on top, and this is one of the second of 2 really heavy favorites on the card that I think are going to be just a little bit too tough to topple. 6-5 in the morning line. I know Giant Mischief hasn't run since last year, but coming back at 6.5 furlongs in the sprint ranks, training well, throwing up bullets at Churchill Downs. This is a horse who's run fresh before and fired pretty well. Won in September off a February layoff. Won the career debut, obviously off of Nothing But Works. So Brad Cox will have this one ready to go, I think. Third in the Malibu behind a couple Baffords, Speedboat Peach and Hijazi in that one. Grade 1 Malibu the day after Christmas. Yes, it's been a long time, 10, 11 months away now for Giant Mischief, but again, it's just a 6.5 furlong sprint. This horse, I think, is going to be fresh and pretty forwardly placed in this spot. The real threat is the 2 Bourbon Heist, and if you look at the other public handicappers in here, I'm surprised. There was a short price that won today as well that I was surprised I was the only one who took the horse on top. Nobody else wants to go for Giant Mischief in here, and I guess it's just they don't want to take a short price off the long layoff. But I think we will all agree that the most likely winner in this race is the 4 Giant Mischief, but they're going to take some other shots, and everybody kind of went the same route. 3 of the 4 handicappers and trying to beat this horse with Bourbon Heist. And that's who I picked second. So I totally get what they're going for. And it's not a critique. He's the late threat in this race, obviously, with a good record at Keeneland, 2 wins and a second from 3 starts. He's a horse who wasn't quite up to stakes caliber, but back down in the allowance optional claiming ranks, fits really well. Irad Ortiz rides for Ian Wilkes. You could definitely see Bourbon Heist making a late move in this race. It's not easy to win 6.5 furlong sprints from where he's going to be coming from at Keeneland. So Irad might have to use Bourbon Heist a little bit more early than he's used to. Will that horse have the same kind of kick late? We'll see. But we know he loves Keeneland. He's a practical joke. These practical jokes run well over the track here at Keeneland. So Bourbon Heist makes sense as the alternative to Giant Mischief. But I don't think Brad Cox is going to bring a short horse back here for Giant Mischief. I think he's going to be ready to run. And I just don't see him beating him in this field of 8. So not a lot I can do with this race, intra-race, because I think a lot of people are going to be on the 2 Bourbon Heist as a short price exacta. Maybe the longer price for the exacta is number 1, Kavad. I like this horse a little bit. So, maybe if we can get a fair return on the exacta here with Giant Mischief and Kavad, a 4-1 exacta might be worth a little bit of dough. Kavad, 12-1 in the morning line, not picked by any of the other public handicappers. Joe Sharp's barn's going pretty well. Some hit or miss. Some of the horses haven't run quite that well, but overall, he's having a really good start to his meet. This horse is coming out of a good race against Extra Anejo at Churchill Downs. Made a middle move in that race and came up a little bit short at 7.5. Back to 6.5. I think Kavad's going to fit pretty well. This horse was good at Fairgrounds Oaklawn back in the day when with Chris Hartman and company. So give me the 4-1 exacta, maybe, if the 2 Bourbon Heist is going to be bet down too low. But 4-2, 4-1, the way I see race number 6. And I would single to start the late pick 5. If you're playing a pick 5 or a pick 6 ticket, I'm not going to try to beat Giant Mischief in here. But I also want to look at a daily double because my second key play of the day comes up in the next race. And so let's try to get a 4-12 daily double from races 6 to 7. As we hit the 7th race, it's my second key play. It's the start of the late pick 4. This is a 6 furlong maiden special. And look, there are a lot of big name barns in this race, and the big name barns take money. We understand that. Brad Cox has a first-time starter named Keepsake in here. D. Wayne Lucas has got a horse in here. Brendan Walsh has a horse in here. His barn's hot. Cherie DeVoe's barn's hot and taking money almost every horse that goes to the post. But a horse on the outside for John Ennis is on paper a standout to me in this particular spot, but because of the connections, because some of the other first-time starters are going to be that hidden unknown that are going to lure a little bit more cash than maybe they should. I think My Little Punky, the 12, is going to get let go in this race. His second place finish last time was really impressive. He didn't cave, or she didn't cave, I should say. She's a filly by Outwork, my apologies. But she didn't cave when she was in a duel with a horse named Mohima, who for Brad Cox looks like an absolute future star. Mohima drew off and won that race by 7. The horse who was dueling and pressing should have just caved and ended up 5th, 6th, 7th and thrown in the towel. This filly stuck it out, ran all the way to the wire, and ran a good second over 6.5 furlongs. Now she shortens back. She's on the outside. There'll be no excuses from out there, in terms of trip. I think My Little Punky is one who's just going to be forward throughout and be really, really tough to get past. And these first-time starters better come with their running shoes on. She's 5-1 in the morning line. I think she's going to be every bit of that because I think some of the other horses are going to get bet hard in here. Keepsake for Cox, first-time starter. He had a first-time starter today, bet the 3-5 in a 2-year-old maiden special. Ended up getting run down late and ended up third today. But Keepsake's going to get bet in here. Some of the others, like I say, Cherie DeVoe, you're going to see the Brendan Walsh's start to get bet more as he keeps winning races. So give me the 12 in here, My Little Punky. And at 5-1 in the morning line, I'd be happy with that. But I get a sneaky suspicion we might even get a little bit more given the connection. So for me, second key play of the day comes up here in race number 7. It's the 12 My Little Punky. Only one other handicapper has this horse in the top 3. And when you kind of look around, we've got 5 handicappers with 5 different horses on top. The 4, the 2, the 4, the 6, the 9, and the 12 all get shots to win this race from various handicappers. But I don't know. I'm just looking down at that race and that second place finish to a future stakes star in Mohima. That just stands out to me. And if this horse was trained by somebody different than John Ennis and ridden by somebody different than Edgar Morales, I mean, if this is Gaffleone and Cox or Cox and Giroux or whatever, this horse is 3-5 to me. So I think we're going to get a little bit of overlay value. And that's why it's one of my key plays of the day coming up, race number 7. Next up, the 8th race is the Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup, Grade 1, 3-year-old fillies going a mile and an eighth here. It's also the second leg of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3, and we've got an international cast to talk about in this one. We've got fillies from the UK, we've got fillies from France, we've got fillies from Canada, and we got a couple of Americans who are pretty darn good rematching from a stakes race in the Lake Placid at Saratoga. The rematchers are Grayosh, the 9, and She Feels Pretty, the 3. She Feels Pretty is actually the morning line favorite in this race. Coming off a second place finish, she's going to add blinkers for Cherie DeVoe. Grayosh in the morning line is a much better price at 8-1, despite beating this horse last time. But if you look at the tote last time out in the Lake Placid, She Feels Pretty was 3-5. Grayosh in that race was 7-1, almost 8-1 when pulling the upset. So those odds are going to change a little, but maybe not that much, even in the rematch with the finish flipping last time out. Now, the X factors in this race, the overseas horses are Soprano, the 5, and also the 10 Candala. Soprano's a horse who ran and won at Royal Ascot. We're going to give you a chance to see that race in just a bit in the Sandringham Stakes. Candala comes in from France, has taken on some of the best fillies around. She's got just tremendous running lines in terms of who she's been going against, and I think she's one out of the French Oaks this year where she got beat less than 4 lengths, who could be very competitive in this spot. Florent Giroux rides. You get the American rider on a foreign horse. I like that angle. You get that foreign talent with the know-how of the course with Florent Giroux, and I think that can be helpful in this particular spot. Billy Longname is going to be the jockey of the other horse coming in from Ireland, Soprano, and that'll be his first time over the course here at Keeneland. So maybe the experience could tilt the favorite to Giroux and Candala amongst those international horses. And then the filly Caitlin Her Greatness, filly who won the King's Plate, beating the boys in her native Canada last time. Kevin Attard, he and Mark Casse dominate the standings at Woodbine. He's got Frankie Dettori riding Caitlin Her Greatness. She won her second in the Woodbine Oaks. Then she won last time out in the King's Plate. That was against restricted company, of course, for horses just sired in Canada, but she's run well in open company. We've seen her in the States, and she was good at Saratoga and Aqueduct last summer. She's a high-quality filly. Caitlin Her Greatness with Frankie Dettori. Now, for a little bit of help with the international horses in this year's Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup, our own Tom Leach, intrepid reporter, was on track and caught up with Nick Luck from NBC Sports. Asked him about these international horses. Of course, Nick, one of the most renowned broadcasters in England covering racing overseas. Here's Nick's take on the two horses that we're going to see in the QE2 from overseas.
Nick Luck with NBC Sports. 2 Euro invaders for the QE2, Soprano and Candalo. What do you make of how they would stack up against the U.S. horses?
Well, I think they're both legitimate contenders, but I think either of them would have to produce a career best to win this race, to win 9 out of 10 QE2s. Candala's very interesting. She hasn't run very often. She's open to quite a bit of improvement. She is coming back in distance. Now, you don't normally associate horses up with Aga Khan breeding wanting to come back in distance, but her best half sibling excelled at a mile and not ever any further. So that might be something. In addition, the form that she showed, which didn't really look anything special last time, has been significantly boosted by Friendly Soul going on to win a Group 2 and then winning a Group 1 this weekend, the Prix de l'Opera, quite easily, and she'll be one of the favourites for the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. So the form's had a boost and she's interesting, and her stable have done great this season. Soprano has been much busier. She's very tough. She's graduated through that good handicap at Royal Ascot to be a genuine stakes class filly. Produced a career best effort last time. Whether she stays the distance is a moot point, but it's certainly worth a try. And the one thing her trainer George Bowie can do is keep improving fillies. When you think they're exposed and you think they've had enough, they just keep getting a little bit better and better. So again, I say they're two legitimate contenders, one stepping up in trip, one coming down in distance, but they'll each need a career best to win.
So thanks to Tom and thanks to Nick for that. If foreshadowing means anything, the interview we had last night ended up being the stakes winner in the feature race today. Did we just give you the winner for the interview mojo? We'll see if one of those international runners is able to win here in the QE2. One of those that he was talking about in there is Soprano, and she was a winner during the Royal Ascot meeting. I believe there were 31 runners in the Sandringham Stakes. The field splits into two sides of the race course, basically, a big group on the left and a big group on the right. We're going to give you a chance to see her in action because she's new to us here in the States. Her name is Soprano. She wins the Sandringham Stakes. Keep your eye on the right-hand side of the screen and a blue cap coming out of the pack.
Overall advantage strutting on the right in the emerald green to D Flawless, the white face on the left. Then Ragnar being followed through by Satoir. Kitty Rose in the right-hand group has got every chance as they move on down inside the last couple of furlongs. On the right, green and white strutting. Uluru in the green and red is now giving chase. Then Ragnar from Kitty Rose. Soprano, Indelible has moved through over on the far side with a pink cap from Battle Queen. Strutting down the near side, Uluru. Soprano is still finishing off strongly. Indelible doing best on the far side. Soprano beginning to get up. Soprano hits the high notes and wins the...
She's the miler. She'll be stretching out. The French filly Candala turning back in distance, as Nick mentioned. I was kind of juggling between those two. I'm juggling between the two Americans. I ended up going with the French filly Candala, shortening up the trip. Again, I think Florent Giroux in the saddle could be the difference of those international horses. Maybe just worth a length. And in a turf race at 1 1/8 miles like this, we could have 3 or 4 of them on the wire within a length, and that could be all the difference. So that's the direction I went. Let's get to the other public handicappers in the Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup. And as we look across the way here in race number 8, it is Soprano, top choice for Scott. He went with the Irish filly, the English filly. I went with Candala along with Tom Leach for the French filly. Oversubscribed, top pick in here. She's British bred, but Chad Brown trained here stateside. That's the top pick for Gabby. And She Feels Pretty, top choice in here for trainer Cherie DeVoe. And Kim Nelson's got that one on top. She Feels Pretty, the morning line favorite. So we've got, 4 different horses picked on top in a field of 9 in the, or 10. In the Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup. Should be a good betting race. I get the feeling if you're 4 deep, you're covered. But then again, that doesn't cover Caitlin, her greatness. That doesn't cover oversubscribed, Gabby's top pick. Maybe you need to be 5 or 6 deep in this particular race. Look, I think Giant Mischief is a standout in race number 6. I really love the 12 in race number 7. If you're playing a late pick 4, pick 5, maybe single in the first 2 legs, races 6 and 7, and then get to race number 8 and spread your wings a little bit. Get some coverage in here. This is a good one. If we can get a nice price on Candala on the win end, I'd be after it. 9-2 in the morning line. I want every bit of that on any horse I bet to win in this race. I don't want to bet any horse in this race at 3-1 or less for sure. I've got to get at least 7-2, 4-1 to make a win bet in this race. Otherwise, you're trying to hook up some combinations, go for the exotics, because this is a tough race to take a $7 return on the win end for sure. Okay, let's go to race number 9 on the card as we get through our third and final key play, pardon me, on the program. Race number 9 is an optional claimer, second level allowance race here, N2X, as you see in your past performances. I'm going with number 3 in here, Seeking Unity is my third key play on the program. Seeking Unity, the 3, I'm on the island. Nobody else has the 3 anywhere around. 15-1 in the morning line. Yes, please. Tyler Gaffleone riding. I'll take that. Thank you. After 7 wins the past 2 days. I don't think Tyler could be 15-1, but then again, he won today at 20-something to 1, paid $47 on one of his winners. But Seeking Unity to me is a horse who can be inside speed in here. I don't think the 1 or 2 really want to get going and get out of there in this mile and a 16th race. Seeking Unity is going to get the lead, get to the inside, coming out of those one-turn races out of the Wilson Chute at Saratoga. On the mile and a 16th here, I think it's an advantageous move, and I think Seeking Unity's got a shot in here at a nice price as my key play late in the card here in race number 8. I've got this race 3-11-5. The 11 is the morning line favorite in here at 9-5. Komorabino Omoide is how you say it. Komorabino Omorde, the 11. I think you just call the horse the 11 is the way to do it. I even practiced. That's what's sad. I even practiced saying that horse's name before the podcast. I wrote down a phonetic spelling and I still blew it. Just call it the 11 horse. The 11 could be very effective in here. Coming out of the Charlestown Classic. Prior to that, the West Virginia Governor's Stakes. Running against horses like Skippy Longstocking, Hit Show. Those are pretty high quality horses in the handicap division. A cusp below a horse who might win a Breeders' Cup Classic, but certainly really good grade 2, grade 3 type horses. And so the 11's coming out of some really strong races. Has a little bit of tendency to hang at the end of the races if they don't get in if this horse doesn't get in front. And I don't think this horse is going to get in front of the 3 Seeking Unity. So that's where my thought process is if the 11 hangs in here as the favorite with a wide draw and never gets in front of the 3 cuts the corner, turn it for home, only has to get to the 16th pole finish line. So I'm going with the 3 Seeking Unity to pull the little upset here. 3-11-5. Parchment Party, the 5, is a horse I love this winter. He was one of my horses after watching him in the 2 races at Churchill last fall. He was one of my Kentucky Derby horses. I was really excited about this horse as a potential Derby horse. Big closing wins, 2 route races last year at Churchill Downs, 1 in September, 1 during the Thanksgiving November meet. I thought he was going to be one of the ones. Had some developmental issues. They decided to back off on him, and now he comes back here. Bill Mott, this probably isn't the perfect spot for this horse on the comeback because of the short stretch here at Keeneland with his running style, 16th pole finish line. But Parchment Party could be any kind. He looks like a horse who, we may be talking about in January for something like the Pegasus World Cup. You might be talking about him in the Clark Handicap in November if he runs well in this particular race. He's going to be a big player in some stakes races in the handicap division moving forward. I just don't know if he's going to be quick enough and fleet enough to get up with the short stretch here off the layoff. And I haven't seen a lot of his works and don't know much about how he's doing specifically. So I've got him in here third in my top 3, but I have a lot of respect for Parchment Party. If he runs well in this race 9, I won't be shocked. You certainly want to get him in the mix. Maybe he runs underneath in here. So I've got it 3-11-5. But if you look across the way, this is the 3rd time on the card where we're all over the place. 5 handicappers, 5 different horses picked on top. The 2, the 3, the 6, the 10, and the 11 all get top dibs in this race from one of the handicappers. So really good betting race. I've got a 15-1 I like that nobody else likes. I love that. So that tells me we're probably going to get the price we want. Tyler Gaffleone is probably going to knock the price down a little bit, but then again, he had a $40-some winner today. So if the people don't like the horse, they don't necessarily have to beat down the price on him. And I'll be curious to see what they do with Parchment Party. He's 7-2 in the morning line. He's an exciting horse, and I don't know what the public's going to do with him specifically in this race. They might be a little defensive like I was, like putting him 3rd, and then at a 7-2 price, that's kind of about where he probably should be as the 3rd choice. But I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach on him. I'm in on the 3 and the 11, certainly too deep in here for the multi-race wagers. But on top, I definitely want the 3 in here, Seeking Unity, and I'm going to go after this one with a little bit of gusto, 15-1 in the morning line. Let's go to the 10th and final, wrap things up. It'll be the Toyota Super High 5 race. Also, the final leg of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. $19,913 in the carryover for the Toyota Super High Five. If you're new to playing the game, all you have to do for the High Five is pick the first 5 finishers in order. Of course, you can box and key and all the other things like that, but you need the top 5 finishers in the race to take down the Toyota Super High Five. Here's how the handicappers see the 10th and final on the Saturday card. Classic example, top choice in here for me and Tom Leach. Then you've got 3 others on top. The 5, Blue Coast for Gabby Gaudet. The 8 for Kim Nelson, that being Enter the Dragon. And the 12, Kurahi, top choice in here for Scott Hazelton. I've got him picked 7, 6, 5. Classic examples, 10-1 in the morning line. Brad Cox trains for Windstar Farm and the China Horse Club. This is a $400,000 2-year-old purchase out of a $15,000 stallion improbable. A $15,000 stallion. This horse works as a 2-year-old in training in April and March at Ocala and sells for $400,000. That tells me the horse worked really well, was well put together, and is expected to win early. The horse didn't make it to the races till September, but was a debut winner going long at Horseshoe Indianapolis, and now gets a chance to run on the turf going a mile. I like this with Brad Cox. His horses who debut at Horseshoe Indianapolis are often vastly underrated. He sends his horses there that want to run 2 turns right away. That's what this horse got, was a 2-turn mile in the debut. Won that day. It was a fairly easy pace all the way around and was, best, but the gap to the 3rd place finisher was another 8 lengths. So it was a hard-fought victory in a slow time, almost like a in-company workout, like you'd want to see your horse, right? You don't want to see him completely extended. You want to see him go easy, finish up nicely, and win by a head or so. That's what you want in a team workout. It almost feels like that's how that race was for Classic Example. 25, 50, 115 fractions going around the track, and then just kind of keeping the other horse at bay and winning by a half length, and then a big gap to everybody else back to 3rd. So I think Classic Example's better than that running line's going to show. It wasn't going to get a big speed figure with those kind of fractions in that race. So the 56 buyer is going to keep the number up. 10-1 in the morning line. It's Pratt. It's Brad Cox. I'm on the 7 in here. Classic Example. This is my half play for another play of the day because I debated between the 9th and the 10th race, which one would be my 3rd key play on the card. So we'll call this 3.5 key plays on the program. Give me the 7, Classic Example. Over the 6, Brigade, who's 8-1 in the morning line. Mark Cassidy does a really good job with these 2-year-old turfers. We went after one today as one of our plays of the day on the card, and we got a fair price on our horse. And I don't complain about rides. I'm not going to do that, but the horse we had today ended up 4th or 5th rallying, galloped out past everybody into the clubhouse turn after the finish line. And I just think if he'd have gotten into the race and he wouldn't have just been strangling early, that we had a better shot with the Cassie Turfer today. Don't be surprised if the 6 Brigade by War of Will, a horse who was a Grade 1 winner over this turf course at Keeneland. I think the 6 Brigade will be a factor in this spot. And the other thing about Brigade coming out of the juvenile mile at Kentucky Downs and Cole Battle, the 4, also coming out of that same race. The 4 and the 6 here in the 10th race both come out of the stakes race at Kentucky Downs and drop into the allowance ranks. That's the formula that won the 2-year-old turf stakes race today, was a horse out of the stakes ranks at Kentucky Downs, dropping into the allowance ranks and went on to victory. So the 4 and the 6 are kind of repeating that same pattern. I think that could be, influential here with those 2 Kentucky Downs horses. As for the other handicappers across the way, Tom and I are both on Classic Example. The 5, the 8, and the 12 also get top choices in here, as we mentioned earlier. So 5, 6, or 7, 6, 5, the way I'm going to take the finale here and see if we can't get a couple nice prices. 10-1 and 8-1 on our top 2 in there. 3rd choice in there, Blue Coast, is Brendan Walsh and Tyler Gaffleone, coming out of a good race at Kentucky Downs behind Tiz-Tastic, who came right back, I believe, and won in Stakes Company in his next start. So he's coming out of good races too. 7, 6, 5 to wrap it up for me in race number 10. That'll do it for the Keeneland Look Ahead podcast for Saturday, October 12th. We'll be back tomorrow night, Saturday night, to preview a Sunday card that features the Franklin Stakes for older distaff turf sprinters, fillies and mares turf sprinters, and it's one of the better fields. In fact, I've got it here in the system already. This is the field for Sunday's race in the Franklin. This is a fantastic race. 12 can go, 4 are also eligibles, but you got Star of Mystery there for Charlie Appleby, Roses for Deborah, Future is Now. I mean, these are 3 of the top distaff turf sprinters in the country, and a lot of depth to go around them in terms of playing the exotics. So the Franklin Stakes on Sunday, we will preview that tomorrow night on the Saturday show. Again, 8:30 Eastern for the Keeneland Look Ahead Saturday night to preview the Sunday card. I'll have updates for you in the morning. Be sure to check out my updated picks after scratches. You can sign up for my Substack, and you'll be able to get those emailed to your email inbox each day after scratches and changes at Keeneland. I give you my final handicapping thoughts. So go to jeremyplonk.substack.com and sign up. It's free. Not only do I send you information for Keeneland, but some other big races around the country and all year round. So even when the Keeneland meet's over, you'll get my stuff heading towards the Breeders' Cup, next year's Triple Crown, and big weekend races throughout the year as well. So sign up for that. Free service, never charge, and look forward to communicating with you there through Substack with the written pieces to your email. We'll have that out. Usually scratches changes 10:30, 11. We get the Substack after kind of assessing. So hopefully we don't have a lot of changes, but between 11 and 11:30, that should come out each race day. So be sure to check that out. I'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great night, everybody, and a great weekend.